So we got a couple weeks left of the congressional year. Any bill that, let me explain how it works. If a bill passes the House of Representatives and doesn't pass the Senate, then it doesn't go to the president to sign, obviously. And then come January with the new Congress, they got to start all over from scratch. So that bill that passed the House of Representatives with Democratic control doesn't continue. It's got to start all over from the beginning.
Ooh.
Sad for those bills.
Yeah.
Right? So now what happens is the House of Representatives passes a bill, has to go to the Senate, they pass a different bill, and then it has to be negotiated between the two, and then they have to come up with another final vote between the two and give it to the president, and this all has to happen in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Do you think that that's actually going to happen?
So let me tell you what is on the table for immigration reform.
Okay.
All right, and then we'll see. Number one is Dream Act. Senators Kyrsten Sinema, Democrat of Arizona, and Republican Thom Tillis. Now, the Dream Act has passed the House of Representatives. Give amnesty to all the dreamers. All right, everybody knows who the dreamers are. Kids who came here very young age and grew up here and now adults. And it passed the House of Representatives, but if the Senate doesn't pass a Dream Act bill, then it's got to start all over from scratch again in January because we got a new Congress. And what has this been going on now? 10 years already.
Right.
Okay. So they're trying to find bipartisan support in the Senate. Remember, we got to get to 60 votes in the Senate to pass the Dream Act. That means there's 50 Democrats. That means they got to have 10 Republicans to pass it. And Kyrsten Sinema and Republican Thom Tillis of North Carolina, they've outlined a proposal that they said could provide the legalization for 2 million dreamers, basically an amnesty brought to the United States. In exchange, if they can get 9 more Republicans, because Thom Tillis is a co-sponsor of the bill, $25 billion in increases in border security.
Wow.
And basically what that increase would be is to build detention facilities for anybody who is trying to cross the border to apply for asylum or run across the border. More ICE officers on the border, DHS officers on the border, more equipment for security and everything else, more border fence, more detention facilities, and in addition, hiring of more judges and overhauling the asylum system so that if you do try to cross the border and you're captured, or you go to apply for asylum at the border, you would be either stay in Mexico and wait for your hearing, or if you insist on coming across, be in a detention center, and they would have an expedited hearing with more judges and immigration officers and try to overhaul this entire system.
So, I mean, that doesn't sound bad.
It doesn't sound terrible.
It doesn't sound terrible.
It doesn't sound terrible because
I would rather it be an actual, facility that's, that they put money to. Probably better stay.
Well, right now, what's happening is people are literally jumping over the fence.
Right.
And they sit there. Right now, today, people jumping over the fence.
Right.
Okay. They sit there and wait for Border Patrol to come. Border Patrol doesn't have facilities to house them.
Exactly. That's what I mean.
So what they do is they release them into the United States and tell them come back and see a judge in 1, 2, 3 years. So a lot of people are entering the country even without legitimate asylum claims, and a lot of people with legitimate asylum claims who are scared to jump over the fence are sitting on the wrong side of the fence.
Right, right.
And can't even get a hearing. So maybe this would be, I don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it would be more humane. I don't know. I like the idea of the amnesty for the dreamers. That's certainly
Obviously,
humane.
Yeah.
So we'll see if that happens.
I mean, I do like them getting more judges because then we can,
speed this up a little bit.
Speed it
right.
up.
Because people with legitimate asylum claims are waiting years.
Exactly.
And, and they're all calling me, people who filed in 2016, 2017, 2018, who waiting on asylum claims with legitimate claims, are calling me now, and I'm filing mandamuses for everybody, literally threatening the government, or actually filing the mandamus or a threat of a mandamus with federal court to get them to move on an interview.
Yeah.
So I mean, certainly we need more money into this. So that's one thing. We'll see if that happens.
Okay.
Meanwhile, Senators Michael Bennet, Democrat of Colorado, and Mike, I guess this is his name, Crapo? Maybe we'll see if he's Crapo or not after
Right.
whether this passes or not. They're negotiating a bill that's already passed the House of Representatives as well. These are senators to provide an amnesty for farm workers. And although the negotiations are underway, nobody knows whether or not this will pass. But if I had to choose, if I had to take a guess on which one would pass, the farm workers or the amnesty for the dreamers, my guess is that farm workers has a better chance.
I would say that too.
Because
they're working.
because the Republicans who are in the Senate come from farm country.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so it's to their benefit
Right.
to be able to legalize farm workers for their particular constituents who are the farmers.
You always got to see what the benefit is going to be
Right,
for
right.
them. So that's why I would have said the
So
same
this
thing.
is how the farm work amnesty would look like. Longtime law-abiding, undocumented agricultural workers will be able to apply for what's called certified agricultural worker status. And the certified agricultural worker candidates would not be subject to deportation while their applications are being considered, and their employers would not be sanctioned for hiring illegal aliens or undocumented aliens. We don't like to say the word illegal. Certification would grant 5.5 years of legal residency, including spouse and children. And those after 5.5 years of continuing to work on a farm. So you would be required to continue your work on a farm for 5 years. You can't just say, I worked on a farm for the last 90 days, give me a green card, and now I'm going off to be a salesperson at Macy's. Okay, you can't go work at Macy's.
From the farm?
You got to stay on the farm.
Hey.
Macy's will have to wait
For 5 years.
For 5.5 years, and then at that point you would be able to adjust your status. But you would be temporary legal residents for those 5.5 years, and then be able to adjust because there is a shortage of farm workers. And people are running across the border for jobs, low-paying jobs, with bad labor conditions. So these would be wages that would be equal to American citizens. So the wages of the undocumented workers would rise. They would be, if you want to get your green card, be required to continue to work on the farm for 5.5 years with better labor conditions, better salary, get conditional residence for you and your family, and then after the 5.5 years, apply for your green card. And one thing that they have written into this law is that you're not tied to work for one farm. So you can, as this certified agricultural worker, if you can find a better job somewhere else, go change jobs and go work at another farm.
Okay.
So you're not tied as an indentured servant, because it sounds like almost like indentured servitude for 5.5 years. So you wouldn't be tied to that. You can go, they just want you to stay in the farming industry.
Okay.
Okay, but go work at a farm anywhere you want in the United States.
Yeah.
As long as you continue to work on a farm. And for those who do not qualify, they would be able to go back into H-2A status, which is the temporary work visas for farmers, and then be able to travel back and forth on temporary work visas.
Okay.
But wouldn't be able to get a green card. So those are two possibilities. Another possibility in the next 2.5 to 3 weeks is the EAGLE Act, which is the Equal Access to Green Cards for Legal Employment Act. And what that's really going to help is especially the Indian tech workers, because what that's going to do is that's going to eliminate the per country cap on all employment cases. So that huge wait list for India and there's some other countries as well, China, Mexico, those will all go away because the per country cap will be lifted. So people who are on H-1Bs and then filed for adjustment of status or an I-140 and are waiting to file for adjustment of status, but for the priority dates not being current, those will all go away. So those people will get green cards faster. And they're going to increase the cap to 15% of green cards to one country for family-based. So people from Mexico, Philippines, India, China, those countries that have longer waits for family-based cases, for example, Philippines has a 30-year wait for brothers and sisters. Though many of those waits will get reduced as well. That may have a chance to pass. That may have a chance to pass as well. So we'll see. Those are the three big possibilities.
Okay.
And we'll see between now and the end of the year. Thanks for watching. For more Bradshaw Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.